I wanted to ask. There's a story that come from Plattenberg today. It says that Arsenal are monitoring the Leroy Sane situation. Arteta and Sane have a great relationship from their time together at Man City. We know the player's tendency is to stay and extend his contract. What Plattenberg has said is that the contract talks are not really motoring towards those end stages, and we know that new contract talks can break down. Maybe the player doesn't get offered what he thinks he's worth. Maybe with the new regime at Bayern Munich, they're looking at him and they're thinking we want to cash in on him now. Arsenal's situation with attackers is interesting because we know you wanted Šeško. That didn't happen. There's talk that you want Nico Williams, but you won't make a move until essentially his deal to Barca's off. You're scouting Gyökeres, a player that I think you could sign with the snap of your fingers if you wanted him. You're monitoring the situation with Leroy Sane. Do you think this one, as per the title of the video, could be about to advance or is starting to advance? Or what do you think you're doing from an attacking point of view, Igal? Because I know you're working on sort of the midfield option now, but you do need to bolster the attack. What's your understanding and reading of the situation?
I think the club originally wanted Nico Williams as their, if they could get any player out there that's a winger that we could bring in, it was probably Nico Williams. We've heard numerous sources talk about Pedro Neto, but injury concerns there. Leroy Sane, the issue that I think we would face with him is he would be a squad player that would be paying over 250K a week. I don't know if the club would be willing to face that bill, especially knowing that guys like Bukayo Saka, Saliba, and Martinelli recently signed new deals, and neither of them are on 200K plus. They're all under the 200K a week mark. So depending on if he would come to Arsenal and take a pay cut, because if he's having a pay dispute over at Bayern Munich and he's getting 280K a week, if it comes down to pure dollars, I don't know if Arsenal would give him an increase in his wages to come over here. And on top of that, have to pay a transfer fee. It wouldn't make sense unless we're getting him on a free or something like that, which I don't think that's the case. I don't think he's a free agent, or else I would have heard of that already.
60 mil, I think.
Yeah, so there's no way that I think we would actually pay 60 million plus give him the highest wage bill outside of Kai Havertz in the club. It just doesn't make sense. I think he'd be viewed as a rotation piece, somebody who can play on both wings. He'd be useful. He would have already played with Arteta. It would be an Arteta reunion. But just looking at it from a pure business perspective, I don't think it would make a fit for what we currently have. It would actually cause more disruption with players like Saliba, Saka, and Martinelli having like 2 or 3 years left on their deal that they just recently signed.
Yeah, I went through this already. I don't like him. I don't want him. I don't want him at the club. I think he's lazy. I don't think he's good enough at the top.
Who are we talking about? Sorry, who's lazy?
Sane.
Sane.
And I don't think he's good enough
not
at
this
the top
again.
level. I don't think he's good enough at the top level. I said it already, but anyway.
What?
Yeah, I don't want him.
I could accept lazy. I think it's harsh, but I could accept lazy. Not good enough for the top level is mental.
Yes, I don't think he's accurate with his passing. He makes runs and then he shoots and it ends up at row Z. Like, bro, I don't need that, bro.
Is it me or do I not remember Leroy Sane playing quite well against Arsenal? I might be. Okay. It might have been. It might have been 3 moments. It might have been Nabry.
He had 3 moments. He had 3 moments against us in the Champions League, bro. Other than that, what else did he do?
That was over 2 games.
And then also, when he went to Germany and actually was put on the big stage and put in front of everybody and said, "Okay, go ahead and do what you need to do. Show what you could do for your country." He bottled it, bro. He bottled it. One of the worst players in that German team. One of the worst players.
Can I just talk about Sane? Because
wait. Just Henry, just before you go. So when I said this about Declan on Monday, everyone called me crazy. I just want it noted that Sane's not good enough because he can't do it for his country. I just want it noted. That's it. Henry, you can carry on.
No, but Declan, that makes no sense because Declan Rice has done it for his country before, bro. He's had very good performances for his country. Like, you guys are talking like...
has Sane not had good performances for his country? Has Sane not had good performances for his country?
In that Euros, bro, he wasn't, bro.
I'm talking about Declan in this Euro. But I just want it noted. That's what Just noted. Henry, carry on, please.
What I was going to say, like this Leroy Sane slander, criticism, call it what you want. To me, is absolutely it's obscene, right? The guy last season, who's apparently a flop, played 27 games and got 19 goal contributions in the league. All right, he's one of their standout performers alongside Musiala and Harry Kane, albeit they didn't win the league and they finished third. I think Stuttgart finished above them. In the Champions League, he was one of the standout performers home and away against Arsenal. He scored against Real Madrid in the following leg. He scored the goal against Lazio, or assisted the goal against Lazio, which Harry Kane scored in the last 16 that kept them alive in the game because they were 1-0 down. What Arsenal need is a more winning mentality in the dressing room. They need someone like Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, Saliba. They're all fantastic world-class talent. But you also need someone in that dressing room who's been there, seen it, and done it. Now, the squad depth that Arsenal would have if you have Sane competing with Saka for that right-hand side. Right now, if Saka gets an injury, they don't have anyone. Plus, Sane can play on the left. And
we have, 1 second. We have Gabriel Jesus. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but Jesus predominantly, like I personally, I think Sane is clear of Jesus. Personally, I don't know what you guys think, but Jesus, in terms of his creativity, I think Sane adds something different. I think Sane in the final third is a lot more composed than Jesus. Jesus is a fantastic dribbler and he looks sharp during pre. He looks good against Man United, but Sane adds something that you don't have.
Let me ask you.
What's that?
Did you hear the point?
His creativity in the final third is absolutely second to none.
His creativity
I
on that right hand side. If Saka gets injured on that right hand side, just let's say first
by
game of the season,
the way, creativity in the final third. I've seen this guy misplace multiple passes.
Well, 1 second.
I watched Germany
team last year. He's still world class.
But Henry, one thing though.
This is crazy.
Sane is a great player. I think he's a quality player. And if he was in our team and he was there for a reasonable price, it might make sense. But 60 million plus making him the second most expensive wage bill in the club, does that make sense?
Again, the price tag doesn't. I don't agree with the price tag, but I'm talking about the player.
Everyone's beef right now is about Sad's comment about he's not good enough for the top level.
Yeah, to me that's wild.
That is wild. That don't make sense to me.
You're talking about a guy. The guy's won 4 league titles. Like he's a very, very good player. The other player you're looking at is Rafinha. Now Calvin Phillips
has won how many league titles?
Yeah, but
how many league titles has Calvin Phillips won? Are we gonna start doing? He won this many league titles. Here we go. Freaking what's the guy's name? Ryan Bruce got a Champions League medal, bro. And a Premier League medal. Like,
I get what you're saying, and it's a valid point.
All I'm saying
one at a time, guys.
All I'm saying is right now.
Hang on, guys. Let Sard go, and then I'm going to go to Tom. We struggle to hear everyone.
I just want to say this. All I want to say is right now, I don't think he is what he was 2 years ago. I don't think he's that same.
I agree with that.
I think he's lost composure. I think he isn't as good as he was in the final third, and I just don't think he's the level that Arsenal needs right now. And on top of that, he's got wages, and they're going to charge us 60 million. Like, I'm fine. I'd rather go and get somebody else.
In response to that is Eddie Nketiah, 40 million out the door, which makes fantastic for FFP, academy graduate. Same with Smith Rowe. Same with Reece Nelson, right? Which in theory means you can go and drop another 100 million if you wanted to. Leroy Sane at 60 million, I agree. The price tag is a bit steep for someone at 28, 29. But at the same time, you bring in a guy that's won league titles in England and Germany, was very, very, very important in that season that Man City got 100 points. Last year, other than Harry Kane and Musiala, was their best attacker. Coman and Tell didn't do the impact they should have done. And the guy's got a winning mentality. The guy's won trophies everywhere he's been. Like, you need someone in that dressing room who's been there, seen it, and done it. In my opinion, I don't know if I'm talking absolute nonsense, but I think Sane at 45, maybe 50 million euros would be a brilliant signing for Arsenal. Based on the fact that you've just sold 3 homegrown academy players, I mean, you can go and drop a lot more money if you wanted to. And Rafinha is the other one you're looking at. The amount of slander he's getting, he tore Barcelona to shreds, PSG to shreds in the Champions League. The only reason they lost was because that Uruguayan centre-back, Arejo, got sent off. Otherwise, they would have been in the semi-final.
The other thing with Sane, comparing him to Calvin Phillips and saying that his role was compatible to that of a Calvin Phillips or a Ryan Brewster is massively disingenuous. Leroy Sane, when he was in the Premier League, and I know it's not the same player as it is now, but when he was in the Premier League for City, was one of the scariest players to go up against. At Bayern, last year he was doing really, really well, all up until everyone at Bayern shit the bed. And then he also couldn't he still had moments after that, but when Bayern shit the bed collectively, his numbers fell off. He's given them consistent 15 to 16 goal and assist seasons since he's joined. And if you're on about the financial package, Jesus is on pretty much similar money, if not slightly less, but it's not massively different. And I don't know about you, but if you can buy a new striker, like Arsenal are seemingly going to do this summer, whether that's Gyökeres or whoever it is, Jesus becomes pointless. And if you can sell Jesus and reinvest the Jesus money into a Leroy Sane, I think that's a much better investment of funds and a setup for balance on that side. And it gives Saka not only a player to take minutes off him so he can rest, which he hasn't been able to do for 4 years almost, but it actually gives him someone who he can actually learn bits and pieces off of and take notes off of. Because as much as you might not like Leroy Sane, this, that, and the other, you can't deny he's a very experienced player who knows how to perform at the top level and win at the top level, which is all the attributes that Arsenal want and Arsenal players need to learn how to get to take that next step. I agree on the 60 million. I think 60 million is too high. But if you can get him for 50 or 45, that should be a deal at Arsenal.
What about the wages?
Like I say, he's on the same.
Well, how much is Kai Havertz on? Just out of curiosity.
I have it on like
280 base, and then it goes up.
That's what Leroy Sane is on at Bayern. Leroy Sane is on 280 at Bayern.
It doesn't make sense to make your second highest paid player a rotation piece that's coming off.
But you did that with Havertz, and you all celebrated it.
1 second, Havertz was bought as a starter.
No one celebrated it, by the way.
1 second, and a lot of people didn't celebrate it. He turned out well, though. I personally think there's a lot of options in the attacking areas that we can go at. We don't necessarily have to go and just say, "Oh, we're going to pay this crazy price for Leroy Sane." You could end up getting a Pedro. You can end up getting a Pedro Neto. Yes, he has injury histories. You can end up getting other players that we're not really linked to right now. The scouts have to do their job. I think Leroy Sane is a convenience link. Bayern Munich are looking at moving him on if they can, and Arsenal are one of those teams that are looking for a player in that profile. And Arteta has been interested in him in the past, and Arsenal have been interested in the past. It does make sense to link us to him, similar to how they're linking Rafinha to Arsenal, but I just don't think it makes financial sense for the club.
The financials.
If your point, Agal, sorry, David. If your point, Agal, is that you don't want your second highest paid player to be a rotation attacker, what's Jesus?
He's
your second highest paid player.
1 second. Jesus, they're trying to actually shift him out, but he's already in the club. You're not going to sign somebody. One thing I was taught as a kid growing up, and I think this applies to this situation right here. You don't make permanent changes that are that can negatively affect you for temporary problems. I think the Bukayo Saka backup right now, and what you guys are talking about, is a temporary problem that we could solve with somebody who's a long-term player that will be on reasonable wage and will not cost us a ridiculous amount of money. If we sign Leroy Sane, we are trying to solve an issue, but at the same time possibly creating another issue. And I don't want that.
No, again, financially, I get the problems. My biggest gripe with all of this is he's not good enough. That he is better than Martinelli as of today. He's better than Martinelli, and Martinelli starts for you. So what are you talking about? He's not good enough. That doesn't make sense.
Martinelli's got competition
because the reality of the situation is, if we're gonna spend big like this, then we're gonna go for one player. They're not gonna go for two players and spend massive on two players. They're gonna spend 60 million on Sane, and then I'm gonna expect them to go out and get a striker. It's not gonna happen.
But that's what he did last season. You dropped.
Yes, but you can't keep on. No, but you can't keep on going and doing that. You can't keep on doing that every single season.
You can now that you've just balanced out your FFP by getting nearly 100 million of talent out the door in Smith Rowe and Ketia.
I'll back
Those are not done. Those are not done.
If you can get Nico Williams for 50 million, and Leroy Sane is going for 50 million, who'd you rather go for?
Yeah, but that's a release clause. It's completely different. And of course, you're taking Nico Williams. Of
Yeah.
course.
So why? So based on
Nico
the
Williams
money,
is also going to demand
based on the money that he's
a
going
week.
for, based on the money that he's going for, the age and everything that you could look at it. I think Saad's well in his right to say for the money that we're looking at, he's not.
But that wasn't his point. That wasn't his point. His point was Sane ain't good enough. Full stop. That's mad. That doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense at all. He'd start for you tomorrow. So he's good enough.
He'd start
for you tomorrow. 100%.
On the right. On the right.
On the left.
He'd start on the left. He'd start for you.
My point is, it's healthy competition.
If
Martinelli gets an injury, you've got Trossard. If Havertz gets an injury, you've got Jesus. But predominantly on that right hand side, you need someone to give Saka rest. He can't. If he goes another season where he's doing another 50 games a season, you need to the harsh reality is Arsenal fans need to get used to seeing Saka on the bench occasionally because he can't. He'll eventually get a huge injury, and someone like Leroy Sane.
I accept that. I know he needs to be rested.
The two players need to.
I don't think his backup is where we should invest majority of our funding. We shouldn't go with majority of our funding and say let's just slap it on the Saka back.
What backup?
We should go for Victor Gyökeres as the main attacker that we bring in. And then maybe we could get somebody like a Bakayoko, somebody who can come in and somebody who can...
still going to be 50 million from PSV.
No, but that can be worked out. The fee can be lowered, bro. Just look at what we did with Calafiori. And he's a much higher talent, bro. Much better talent. But you could still work out the fee with PSV and try and sort something out where they could give you Bakayoko and then for a better fee. No. Hold on. I don't want Chiesa, bro. What
about Pedro Neto?
Pedro Neto, I could see it happening. I'm still worried about his. Eze is the dream, brother. Eze is the dream, but that's never gonna happen. He wants
apparently
Eze is left-sided too.